Today I'm going to show off 10 watches I love and my wife maybe doesn't. Let's get into it! Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. Yes, so a double-edged sword today. On the one hand, I'm very excited that I'm about to show you 10 of my favourite watches right now that I'm currently wearing a lot. And on the other hand, I'm slightly not excited because you're going to have my wife's opinions on all of these. Yes, this is the third installment of What the Wife Says special. These are the 10 watches I currently wear the most in rotation. And you're going to find out why I love the watch, why I still got it, before any of the wife's nonsense, all right? Are you 10 awesome watches ready? Let's go. Okay, so the first watch in the box is one of my favourite divers of the year, from a Swiss brand that were founded in 1858. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Vulcain Skin Diver. Yes, the watch the Oris Diver 65 wish it was. This is a reinterpretation of their first diver back in the 60s. And I was absolutely won over by this dial. Not only the dial though, because the whole watch feels like it was pulled from the 1960s and placed in your hands and on your wrist. No crown guards on that lovely big crown and a pretty darn awesome bezel action. Ooh. This watch has definitely become one of my favourites. And to get in my top elite team of divers in the collection, well, that had to have taken some doing, and it did some doing. This is pretty much the perfect watch for me, so it's no wonder I've been wearing this a lot. Thanks to the Montricard group, this brand has been re-energized and brought back to life in a way Vulcain of the old days could only dream about. Look at that blue. Sweet! Second up in the box is the Casio TRN50. This year was the 50th anniversary of the first Casio digital watch, and this is a reinterpretation of that Casio Tron. It's a limited edition, and I knew they would sell fast,
so I was poised ready to pounce on this watch when it was released.
And God was I right, because on the UK website, these things went in a matter of minutes. This watch is completely stainless steel. The bracelet is exclusive to this watch. It's solar powered. It does have Bluetooth connectivity, but I've never connected it. This is a proper Casio enthusiast watch. Yes, it was probably overpriced by £100 or so, but isn't everything today? What I am a little bit miffed about is that recently Casio brought out another Casio Tron reimagination with little gaudy goldie bits. But it looks as though Casio didn't realise just how popular this watch would be, so they went and made another one
to milk the Casio Tron to death.
But I'm absolutely over the moon, I've got one. Third up, it's the M-HKR. My watch! Finally, all you awesome guys that pre-ordered one of these watches back in January, February time have got your hands on your watch now. And it has been so awesome to see these watches out in the wild all around the world, changing up the straps and really getting to know this watch. I don't regret any design choice, any feature choice we did on it. I'm hugely proud of this watch, and even more proud because the watch brand Radcliffe has said I can do another one. Yes, we are well underway on the diver, which will be named the MDVR. Fingers crossed you get to see that before Christmas. Just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up, the watch will be based loosely on the British Ministry of Defence specifications from 1973. So excited! Okay, so on we come to another watch I never thought I'd fall in love with. From the brand Formex. This is the 39mm Essence. And not only did it make me fall in love with this watch and the brand, it made me fall in love with Swiss watches again. Now yes, some would say it's a little bit over-engineered, from the suspended case that gives you a little bit more room when it's on your wrist, to the hidden extensions in the bracelet. But it proved to me and to you guys that life is not just all about about a Rolex Explorer lookalike or a Submariner lookalike. There are brands that are doing slightly different things with modern innovations, still making amazing watches that don't look too modern, you know what I mean? Now this one is their limited edition malachite dial, and coupled with that slightly lighter green chapter ring, well, it's just awesome. Swiss Sellita SW200-1 in the back. COSC certified, I might add. This watch gets a lot of comments, I must admit. I am so glad I am the owner of a Doxa Sub 300 Professional. Now there aren't many watches that I reviewed, wanted, and have had to have given back. Usually they're not given back and I've just bought them. But this one always stayed with me. I'm not usually a beads of rice bracelet lover, but it goes so well with the watch. And yes, I think this is a 42mm case, but because the dial is so small with that awesome dome box sapphire crystal, the watch really doesn't look big on the wrist. I love the history of this watch, which first came out in 1968, its relationship with Jacques Cousteau and diving in general. I never thought I'd own a watch with an orange dial, and it's one I'm just incredibly proud to own. It's one of those enthusiast watches, you know? Like the Vulcain, like the Casio Tron. Basically, if you know, you know. And this has become one of my favourites.
Could you just click that like button, please? It really helps the channel. Thank you.
Now yes, I've talked about this watch so much in the last few weeks, it'll probably bore the pants off you. But if we're talking about the 10 watches I've been wearing the most, this one gets so much wrist time during the week, I'd just be lying to you if I didn't say about it. And it is the GWM5610U, the G-Shock Square, the purists G-Shock Square, the one that looks the best like the original from 1983, with that lovely red frame around the screen. It just oozes character, oozes the 80s, and with the modern upgrades like the multi-band 6 and the solar powered movement on the market right now, you won't get a better G-Shock than this one. Next up, we've got one of my latest acquisitions, and with a big thanks to Joe the shop that gave me a sweet deal, I was able to buy a Breitling Superocean Heritage 57. Now, when these watches first came out in 2020, I absolutely loved the dial. So different to any other watch. I love the big bold markers and the handset. This watch is the outer known special edition. It's the only way you could get this awesome brown, bronzy dial. Came with a NATO style strap that was made from recycled C materials. Now this is a proper purchase with me using my heart more than my head, because there were certain red flags that were flashing all the time, such as the friction bezel. Definitely not a huge fan of that. It's only 100 meters water resistant, and we all know the gold standard for divers is 200. And before you go on in the comments saying you'll never go 20 meters underwater, let alone 200, I know, but it's just the point. I've never bought a dive style watch before. They've always been proper divers. However, that dial, and even though the bezel doesn't ratchet, I love the concave shape to it and the grip to it, and of course, the way this 42mm watch fits on my wrist. Will it still be in the collection in a year's time? Who knows? But right now, I'm wearing it a lot and I'm still loving it. Okay, now on to another new addition for 2024 in the collection. It's a Christopher Ward, and this is the C63 Sealander GMT. And for me, this is my summer watch. And if I was to go on a plane on holiday, well, it's a GMT, isn't it? Now, I have worn this a hell of a lot, and it's been one of the easiest watches just to throw on the wrist. Now, I have bigged up Christopher Ward quite a lot recently, but it wasn't the case a few years ago. I thought their designs were quite bland and never really had the character I was looking for. Plus, the full name on the dial might have had something to do with it, because the wife's best friend's dad was called Christopher Ward. Taking that off the dial, replacing it with what my wife describes as the jigsaw logo, has done wonders for sales and for the overall look of the watch. Now, how many brands out there are doing GMTs in a 36mm case? Not many! For me, Christopher Ward are no longer just making watches for the lowest hanging fruit. I've got a fantastic fit from the clasp, which is a butterfly deployant. I'm just always impressed with the sculpting of a Christopher Ward case. Other than the 5610U, this has been the watch I've worn the most. And when the sun is out, well, This is out as well.
Super!
You didn't think I'd do 10 watches without a Seiko, did you? But last year I called this one the best release from Seiko in 2023. And in 2024, I still absolutely love it. We are talking about the Navigator Timer SPB 411, a reinterpretation of a watch that Seiko made in the 60s, and it was their first GMT with a rotating bezel. It houses the 6R54 movement, which is a collar GMT or office GMT, which basically means you can independently move the GMT hand. But the dimensions of this watch are so good. The bracelet is so good. But from the chapter ring to the dial to the handset, even love the date window. This was a pricey Seiko and it's still pricey. And I'm not going to go on here and justify its worth. It's worth that price to me. It may not be worth the price to you. I just love this watch. Anyway, last but certainly not least, a watch that could have gone from my collection ages ago. But because of the wife and because of you guys, it stayed, and I have to say a big thank you to you. It's my little vintage, I mean, it's amazing to call it vintage, but it's a vintage Fortis Cosmonauts chronograph. Now it houses the Valjoux 7750, a world-renowned movement, and I have never seen a Valjoux 7750 in a 38mm case. Now this came out in the mid-90s, and because the case is bead blasted, it still looks brand new. And this, coupled with the MP45 that I own, has basically stopped me from ever buying a Speedmaster. I've been trying to wear this watch a lot and I've been loving it, and it's proof to me and to you there's no satisfying us watch hobbyists, because sometimes the best watches we want are already under our noses. Appreciate what you got. So there we go, 10 awesome watches. I wouldn't swap with any right now.
What about your Black Bay 58?
Yeah, might have to slip one of those in.
What about your Seiko Arnie?
Yeah, and that one, maybe.
What about you?
Shut up! I've got too many watches still. And I'd love to know your favourite in the comments below and your least favourite in the comments below. I think there's a fantastic blend of modern design, vintage inspired design. Yeah, it's a great collection. Right. Here's my wife's impressions of all 10 watches. Now, as she's already seen these watches, getting anything positive from her has been a bit of a struggle, because she asked what the point was. But anyway, here we go. Starting with the Vulcain Skin Diver. No, don't like it. Reminds me of cigarettes. And also, I'm getting spider's webs vibes on the outside. Oh. Next up, the Casio Tron. Yes, I do like it. Ooh. It is a bit blingy, but it looks as though a television is flickering in the background. Ooh. Next up, the Mad Hacker, the MHKR. Please be nice. Yes, you know I like this. And I'm glad you changed the name. Ooh. Love the strap, love the case, love it all. Good. Next up, the Doxa. Hate the bracelet. It's giving me Finding Nemo vibes. But it does look better on your wrist, doesn't it? Submarine porthole vibes. And now the GWM 5610U. Move on, I've seen a million of these. And now the Formex Essence 39. I must admit, I didn't like this to start with, but it's grown on me. It's very blingy, has a lot of bolts going on, and it is quite shiny, so I'm surprised I like it. And now the Breitling Superocean. Absolutely hate this, the worst watch you've ever owned. Reminds me of a granny's brooch. Next up, the Sealander 36 GMT from Christopher Ward. Yeah, I don't like this. It's very blingy, isn't it? I don't like the Jigsaw logo, and the dial looks too blue and blingy. It's the SPB 411 next. Yes, I quite like this one. It is a bit blingy. She really doesn't like bling. But it's not as good as your green one, which obviously means the Willard. It's okay. And finally, the Fortis. Yes. Well, you know I love this watch. I'm the one that's made you keep it. Out of all of them, this is my favourite. It is very busy, but it just works, doesn't it? I like the colours, the strap is cool. It's cool. Was not too bad. It could have been worse. For my own self-worth, I wanted the Fortis to be the last one she sees, just to keep me on a positive, you know, upclined, you know what I mean? Instead of being mentally down there in the gutter. Should have put the Breitling first, shouldn't I? But thanks, wife, for your insightful comments. This lot love it. Thank you so much for watching till the end. It is very appreciated. Loads of watches to talk about in the coming weeks, including this one. If you want a little bit more of the Madat Watch Collector Show, click there and join. But if I've got you for a few more minutes, why don't you check this one out? This, I mean, this is one, isn't it? Go on, click it, you'll love it. Click it. Click it.